Good morning. It is Monday, March 11th, 2019, and I just wanted to give my quick review on Captain Marvel, the latest installment in the MCU. Captain Marvel has now replaced my least favorite movie in the MCU, which was before held by Iron Man 3. This movie was thoroughly disappointing. I was expecting that it was going to be probably about a 5 or a 6. I'll give my rating at the end of the movie, but let me tell you all the issues I had with Captain Marvel. It was all the things that other people have said already. Her acting was flat. She just played this sarcastic, pouty smartass the entire time. It was like Brie Larson was playing Daria. You remember that animated series from the 90s? Do you mind? I'm trying to make a video here. Anyway, so it was really, she had no emotional arc at all. That even when there were times when she should have been emotional, like when the first time she had a reunion with her friend, she should have been in some way emotional. Gotta let the dog out 1 second. And she wasn't. Brie Larson, I understand, is a really good actress, but I didn't see it in this movie, and I'm not familiar with a lot of her work. But in any event, I was completely unimpressed. The writing was pretty awful. Jokes were forced. Jokes seemed forced. They didn't seem at all like they were integral to the story. They're just like, hey, let's throw in a little bit of witty banter. It's almost like they tried a formula and said, we need 20% witty banter, 50% action, 40% story, 10% whatever, character development. And they concentrated on the witty banter, failed on the action, and ignored the character development. It was really, really... You know what? I would have felt better about spending my money on this movie if I'd spent it on a new ice scraper or insoles for my shoes. This was a complete waste of money. And I felt the same way about Iron Man 3 as well. I felt it was a complete waste of money. I'm like, oh, it's like the execs at Marvel and the writers and the directors like, hey, let's just shit out another one. Let's shit out another one while the iron's hot. And this is what they did here. Let's shit out on another one just to remind people that Endgame is coming at the end of April. And I was really, really... I felt ripped off, to be honest. Now, I have a friend who said they liked this one better than Ant-Man. Now, I know a lot of people dislike Ant-Man. They thought it was too much humor, not a superhero movie. I don't know what their criticisms were, but I thought that Ant-Man was, one of Marvel's better of the mid-tier movies. It was better than Thor: Dark World. It was better than the original Incredible Hulk with what's his name? Hook-nosed guy. What's his name? Looks like a bird. Anyway, it was better than the original Incredible Hulk. The one with Hulk. Not Eric Bana, but Ed Norton. That's it. And, it had humor in all the right spot, and the humor felt organic. The humor felt like it had a place because Paul Rudd's good with comedy. He's funny. Maybe it's the fact that Brie Larson was trying to be funny and women aren't funny. But it was just, it was really kind of sad to watch it on screen. What else didn't I like about it? Well, I guess my biggest criticism of it was how they took this badass character like Nick Fury, who had all this mystique built up into him. He had all this sort of like gravitas anytime he was on screen. Anytime in the previous movies when he made an appearance at the end of a film or at some point in a film, there was a presence to him on the screen. In this one, they turned him into a joke. They turned him into a buffoon. They turned him into a clown to play off of Brie Larson. Now, Brie Larson needed a character to sort of move the story along because she certainly wasn't going to do it with her own acting. But they chose to do it with Nick Fury, and that's fine. I understand the idea. We'll set it in the 90s. This is before Nick Fury turned into the super spy of S.H.I.E.L.D., so he's a little bit kinder and gentler. But they didn't make him just kinder and gentler. One, they ignored his entire history. If they're going to lend any credence to the canon that is the Marvel Universe. But they made him into kind of like I don't know what you call it. He was more like a smart-ass cop. He wasn't this, fledgling super spy. But my point is that, I mean, it's one thing to say, oh, look, he likes kittens, and and that's kind of cute and funny once. But then they beat that story over and over again. They beat that joke like it was a dead horse. Every time he saw the cat, he went all googly-eyed and acted like an idiot. And speaking of cats, that noise is my cat playing on his cat tree. I apologize. Anyway, but the very worst was, and here comes the spoiler, and you know what? I don't even really feel bad about giving a spoiler, because the fact of the matter is, if you are worried about this movie being ruined, don't worry about it. Because this movie was ruined when it was put in the can. It was awful. The worst part, though, was, here comes the spoiler, how they justified, or how they decided to retcon Nick Fury losing his eye. Nick Fury lost his eye to a cat scratch. And not only that, you don't find out he's lost his eye to a cat scratch until after the final credit scene, where they do the final, the main credits, and then they have the little mini sort of epilogue scene. That's when it's determined that his eye was taken out by a flurkin, which is, I guess, an alien cat thing. But at the time, he was cuddling it like it was the cat. It hadn't transformed into flurkin form yet. And the cat scratched his eye. And his reaction at the time was, oh, damn, oh, that hurt. And that's it. It wasn't until after the credits you find out that he actually lost his eye in that cute little throwaway scene. When I first saw, in the first bit, he gets hit in the head by a Skrull, so he has this gash over his eye. You're like, oh, okay, so they're drawing reference to the fact that he loses his eye at some point in his history. And then, later in the movie, the cat, this little orange cutie cat, scratches his eye because he doesn't like being mauled by Nick Fury. And he's like, oh, damn, my eye, that hurt. That really hurt. And that's it. And then you find out later that he actually lost his eye in that. Nick Fury lost his eye in World War II to a grenade. Okay? Now, you say, well, Nick Fury, this is the 90s. Nick Fury, he wouldn't be alive and that young in the 90s. Well, if you follow the Marvel Universe, and they drew reference to it in the Ultimate Universe as well, Nick Fury was part of a super soldier program that would give him longevity. I think it was called the Legacy Program, or the Project, I don't know. I can't remember what it was called. But he took yearly injections to keep himself young. And he was part of this program that kept him alive all the way back from World War II. Because if you remember, Nick Fury was part in the Howling Commandos in the Second World War. He was part of this series of what do you call, World War II era comics. And yeah, he's been around for a long, long time, as long as Captain America anyway. Also, they drew reference to it in the Ultimate Universe, whom the Samuel L. Jackson Nick Fury's based off of. Wolverine in the Ultimate Universe saved Nick Fury in World War II, because that's how Wolverine is, right? Anyway, I really hate how they turned Nick Fury not only into a clown to play off of Brie Larson, but they also shit retconned his origin story, his history, and that really, really irritated the shit out of me. Anyway, there's lots more wrong with it, but if you're thinking of spending your money to go see Marvel's Captain Marvel, steal it instead. If you really want to see it just because it's part of the MCU, wait till somebody, some friend of yours rents it, or, downloads it, or buys it on Amazon or whatever, and then watch it with them. Don't spend money on it. It was fans of the MCU should be pissed off because it was just another one of these, let's shit out another one. And I don't know what it was that, maybe they were trying to send a message that they were going to release it on International Women's Day, and that was going to be a big part of it. And I know that Brie Larson and some of the marketing was that this was going to be, a feminist movie. This first, female-led superhero movie from Marvel is going to, change the game, so to speak. I think this is what they've been saying. Here's another thing. Somebody posted a funny meme, and I thought it was pretty apt. Okay, so Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, or Vers, as she's known to the Kree, doesn't have any motivation at all. Or her motivation is pretty weak. And it's tied up in this feminist narrative, which is ridiculous. So, somebody did a meme, and it's completely apt. Batman, okay? Lost his parents, saw his parents gunned down in Crime Alley when he was a little boy. There's his motivation to become a superhero. Superman, his entire planet and civilization was destroyed when he was a baby. He's the last of his race, and he's superpowered on the planet that became his foster home. There's his motivation. There's his reasoning, his origin, right? Spider-Man, parents died when he was young. His foster uncle, or his foster parent uncle, gets killed because of his own inaction, and he has to make up for that. These are the motivations of heroes. These are how they have the hero's journey. What was Captain Marvel's motivation for becoming all that she could be? When she was a little kid, she was told that she couldn't play baseball. When she was part of the Air Force, some scumbag said, hey, you know what? It's called a cockpit, right? Because basically, her motivation is because she's a girl, she's been mistreated her whole life. And that's where she drives her resolve to become superpowered. Now, there's another person who does a good review on this movie and says, hey, her big thing is the only thing she overcomes is she just gets stronger. She doesn't have to actually overcome anything. She just has to dig deep and find the strength. And that's all she does. And she repeatedly does it in order to succeed. And there's nothing calling upon her to do anything other than call on her willpower. And that works in a superhero movie once. But she repeatedly did it. That's all she did. She just had to concentrate and be stronger. She didn't come by her powers and learn anything from her powers or become, go through the regular hero's journey. That's another criticism I have of this. It's lazy writing, and it doesn't follow archetypical lines that make it resonate with the viewer. Anyway, I think I've said enough. The feminism thing aside, the Disney marketing thing aside, the Brie Larson comments aside, that all, cheese me up. Do you mind? Dog's just being an idiot. All of that aside, this movie, judged on its own, was just subpar. And like I said, it's now populating my least favorite MCU movie at the very bottom, and it's kicked Iron Man 3 up a notch. Anyway, let me know what you think. That's my thought, and I appreciate you all watching. Like and subscribe if you like this content, and I'll see you all next time. Thanks very much.